Since its dramatic debut, China's Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon has been a relentless source of fascination and intense debate among military enthusiasts and strategic analysts across the globe. As the People's Republic of China's very first domestically produced stealth fighter, its emergence was more than just a technological milestone. It was a powerful statement that has compelled the world to completely re-evaluate the capabilities and ambitions of the Chinese Air Force. The sleek, formidable aircraft is not merely a symbol of China's rapidly advancing aviation industry. It has also become a critical and undeniable factor in the delicate balance of military power throughout the entire Asia-Pacific region, shifting long-held assumptions and introducing new variables into strategic calculations. The J-20 represents a significant leap forward, not just for China's aerospace sector, but for its overall military posture. Its development and deployment signal a clear intention to contest the skies, a domain long dominated by Western powers. The aircraft's official entry into the People's Liberation Army Air Force sequence in March 2017 marked a pivotal moment, making China only the second nation in the world after the United States to field its own operational stealth fighter. This achievement has irrevocably altered the strategic landscape, presenting a direct challenge to the aerial superiority that has been a cornerstone of American military doctrine for decades, forcing a re-examination of tactics and technology. Simultaneously, the United States, as the established hegemon of air power, has watched the J-20's rise with a mixture of keen interest and palpable concern. The American military establishment naturally pays close attention to this new and sophisticated fighter, viewing it through a complex lens that combines technical vigilance with a broader public opinion confrontation. The J-20 is seen not just as a piece of hardware, but as the embodiment of China's growing confidence and assertiveness on the world stage. This has led to a continuous and often contentious dialogue within defense circles about the true capabilities of the Mighty Dragon and the most effective ways to counter its potential threat in a future conflict. The narrative surrounding the J-20 is one of technological progress and strategic rivalry, a story that continues to unfold with each new development and deployment. The aircraft's journey from a secretive prototype to a mass-produced pillar of the People's Liberation Army Air Force has been closely monitored by international observers. Its growing numbers and evolving capabilities, including advancements in engine technology and avionics, ensure that it remains a central topic of discussion. The J-20 is more than just a fighter jet, it is a key player in the unfolding geopolitical drama of the 21st century, representing a tangible shift in global military dynamics that cannot be ignored by any major world power. The ongoing discourse surrounding the J-20 recently took a sharp and controversial turn. A bold statement made by American military expert Eric Wiklund ignited a firestorm of debate, particularly among Chinese netizens and military observers. Wiklund, a former United States Marine Corps officer, proclaimed that any fourth-generation fighter aircraft, such as the venerable F-15 or F-16, possesses the capability to shoot down the advanced J-20 stealth fighter. This assertion, seemingly flying in the face of established generational advantages, instantly created confusion and sparked widespread discussion online, setting the stage for a deeper analysis. Wiklund's argument, however, came with a very specific condition. The fourth-generation jet must approach and achieve a weapons lock on the J-20 from its rear aspect. He theorized that while the J-20's frontal stealth profile is formidable, its tail section, particularly the engine nozzles, presents a significant vulnerability. He posited that the high-temperature exhaust and the physical shape of the nozzles would reflect a much larger radar signature, effectively exposing the aircraft's position to a pursuing enemy. This claim, while technically rooted in stealth design principles, challenges the perceived invulnerability of fifth-generation platforms. This provocative declaration immediately threw the online community into a frenzy, with Chinese netizens expressing disbelief, ridicule, and indignation. For many, the idea of a legacy fighter getting the drop on the Mighty Dragon seemed preposterous. The scenario presented by Wiklund was compared to a simplistic joke. How do you put an elephant in a refrigerator? You open the door, put the elephant in, and close the door. The analogy highlights the perceived absurdity of the claim, suggesting that the most difficult part, actually getting behind a stealth fighter undetected, was being conveniently glossed over. The debate raises fundamental questions about the nature of modern aerial warfare. Is the generational gap between fighters as insurmountable as commonly believed, or are there tactical loopholes that can be exploited by skilled pilots? This central conflict forms the core of our investigation. We will delve into the technical specifics of the J-20, compare its capabilities against its American counterparts, and critically analyze the validity of Wiklund's claim. The controversy forces us to look beyond simple specifications and consider the complex interplay of technology, tactics, and strategy. The development of the Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon can be traced back to a strategic plan conceived in the 1990s, born from a clear and ambitious objective: to create a domestic aircraft capable of countering the United States' premier fifth-generation fighter, the F-22 Raptor. The journey from concept to reality was a testament to China's focused and persistent efforts in military aviation. The initial prototype of the J-20, which first took to the skies on January 11, 2011, was powered by Russian AL-31F engines. This crucial test flight notably coincided with a visit to China by the United States Secretary of Defense at the time, Robert Gates, a timing widely interpreted by international observers as a deliberate and powerful display of China's burgeoning military muscle. China's reliance on foreign engine technology, however, was always intended to be a temporary measure. The nation's aerospace engineers were determined to achieve self-sufficiency in this critical area, understanding that true air power independence required mastering the heart of the fighter jet. Over time, the Russian engines were phased out and replaced by the domestically developed WS-10 Taihang engine, marking a significant step forward. This progress did not stop there. In recent years, the J-20 fleet has begun to be equipped with the far superior, indigenously produced WS-15 engine. This new power plant is a game-changer, granting the Mighty Dragon the coveted ability of supercruise, allowing it to sustain supersonic speeds without the need to engage its fuel-guzzling afterburners. The official induction of the J-20 into the People's Liberation Army Air Force in March 2017 was a landmark event. It solidified China's position as only the second country in the world, following the United States, to have an operational, domestically built stealth fighter in its active inventory. This achievement sent ripples through the global defense community, signaling a major shift in the technological balance of power. The J-20's introduction meant that the era of uncontested American air superiority, particularly in the Asia-Pacific, was facing its most significant challenge to date. The Dragon had officially entered the arena, and the rules of engagement in the sky were being rewritten. Since its introduction, the production and deployment of the J-20 have proceeded at an impressive pace, rapidly transforming the composition of the People's Liberation Army Air Force. According to a July 2023 estimate by Jane's Defense Weekly, the Chinese Air Force already had approximately 195 J-20s in service. These advanced fifth-generation aircraft are progressively replacing older fourth-generation jets such as the J-11 and the Su-27, significantly enhancing the overall combat effectiveness and technological sophistication of the force. This rapid modernization reflects a clear strategic priority for Beijing, ensuring that its air force is equipped with the cutting-edge tools necessary to project power and defend its interests in an increasingly complex geopolitical environment. The design of the J-20 is a meticulous exercise in balancing stealth, agility, and advanced combat systems. Its sleek, elongated fuselage incorporates a large internal weapons bay, which keeps its powerful armaments hidden from enemy radar until the moment of attack. The aircraft's entire surface is coated with specialized radar-absorbent materials, a key element in minimizing its radar cross-section and achieving its stealth characteristics. These features are all engineered with one primary goal in mind: to make the J-20 as difficult as possible to detect, track, and engage. This low observability is the cornerstone of its tactical doctrine, allowing it to operate deep within contested airspace and strike with the element of surprise. One of the J-20's most distinctive features is its delta canard configuration, featuring small forward wings in addition to its main triangular delta wing. This design provides exceptional maneuverability and aerodynamic performance, especially at high angles of attack. However, this layout has also been a source of debate among some analysts, who have questioned its potential impact on the aircraft's overall stealth. The concern is that the canards could increase radar reflections from the front. Chinese designers have countered this by carefully shaping and angling the canards and fuselage, integrating them in a way that deflects radar waves away from the source, reportedly reducing its frontal radar cross-section to an exceptionally low level. Estimates place the J-20's frontal radar cross-section somewhere between 0.01 and 0.1 square meters. This is a dramatic reduction compared to the 10 to 25 square meters typical of fourth-generation fighters like the F-15. This difference of several orders of magnitude means that a legacy radar system would have to be significantly closer to detect the J-20, giving the Chinese fighter a decisive advantage. The J-20 is also equipped with a powerful active electronically scanned array radar, estimated to contain between 2,000 and 2,200 transceiver modules. This gives it a formidable detection range and the ability to track multiple targets simultaneously, far surpassing the capabilities of older mechanical scanning radars. To complement its advanced radar, the J-20 incorporates a sophisticated suite of sensor systems. This includes an electro-optical targeting system and a distributed aperture system, which consists of multiple infrared cameras placed around the airframe. Together, these systems provide the pilot with a 360-degree, spherical view of the surrounding environment, effectively eliminating blind spots and enhancing situational awareness on the battlefield. In terms of weaponry, the J-20's internal bay can carry the formidable PL-15 long-range air-to-air missile. With a reported range approaching 300 kilometers, it significantly outranges the AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles commonly used by American fighters, giving the J-20 a first-shot, first-kill capability from well beyond visual range. The fundamental difference between China's J-20 and legacy American fourth-generation fighters like the F-15 Eagle and F-16 Fighting Falcon lies in the core design philosophy of stealth. Aircraft from the 1970s and 1980s, such as the F-15 and its contemporaries like the Su-27, were built to be the kings of maneuverability and speed. They were highly capable and versatile platforms that dominated the skies for decades, becoming the workhorses of numerous air forces around the world. However, their designs, optimized for aerodynamic performance without low observability in mind, result in a very large radar cross-section. This makes them relatively easy for modern radar systems to detect, track, and target from significant distances, a critical vulnerability in the modern battle space. In stark contrast, fifth-generation fighters like the J-20, along with its American counterparts the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, are defined by their low observable or stealth characteristics. The primary design driver for these aircraft is to minimize their detectability by enemy sensors, especially radar. This is achieved through a combination of specific shaping, the use of advanced radar-absorbent materials, and the internal carriage of weapons and fuel. The J-20's estimated radar cross-section of 0.01 to 0.1 square meters is orders of magnitude smaller than the F-15's, which can be as large as 25 square meters. This enormous disparity is not just a minor technical detail, it fundamentally alters the dynamics of aerial combat. This technological gap directly dictates the terms of engagement in any potential conflict. For a fourth-generation fighter, its large radar signature makes it a conspicuous target, a bright blip on the radar screen of a stealth aircraft long before it can detect the threat in return. The stealth fighter, meanwhile, appears as nothing more than background noise, or perhaps a tiny fleeting contact that is difficult to distinguish from, say, a flock of birds. This information asymmetry gives the fifth-generation pilot a decisive advantage, allowing them to control the engagement, dictate the timing and geometry of the attack, and launch weapons before the adversary is even aware they are under threat. The very nature of air warfare has evolved because of this generational divide. The dogfights of previous eras, characterized by close-range visual combat and acrobatic maneuvers, have been largely superseded by engagements that take place from dozens or even hundreds of kilometers away. The ability to remain hidden while seeing your opponent is now the most critical factor for survival and victory. Therefore, pitting a fourth-generation fighter directly against a fifth-generation platform like the J-20 is an inherently unequal contest. The legacy aircraft is forced to fight blind against an invisible enemy, a scenario that heavily stacks the odds in favor of the stealthier, more technologically advanced machine from the outset. Modern air combat is overwhelmingly dominated by the concept of beyond visual range or BVR warfare. This tactical environment has become the primary domain of engagement, shifting the focus from close-in dogfighting to long-range detection and missile exchanges. Success in BVR combat hinges on a simple but ruthless principle: first look, first shot, first kill. The advantage goes to the aircraft that can detect and track its opponent first, launch its long-range missiles, and then maneuver to safety, often without ever entering visual range. It is in this arena that the stealth capabilities of the J-20 provide their most profound and decisive advantage over non-stealthy adversaries like the F-15. The J-20's low observable design allows it to penetrate deep into contested airspace, effectively becoming a hunter. Its advanced AESA radar can scan for targets while maintaining a low probability of being intercepted by enemy passive sensors. It can easily detect the large radar signature of a fourth-generation fighter like an F-15 from a great distance. For the J-20 pilot, the F-15 appears as a bright, unmistakable target on their display, a clear threat that can be tracked and engaged long before it poses a danger. The F-15, with its massive radar cross-section, is essentially flying with a giant kick-me sign on its back in the electromagnetic spectrum, making it highly vulnerable. This disparity in detection creates a massive engagement window in favor of the Chinese fighter. Armed with the PL-15 long-range air-to-air missile, which possesses a reported range of nearly 300 kilometers, a J-20 pilot can initiate an attack from well over 200 kilometers away. At that distance, the pilot of the F-15 would be completely oblivious to the impending threat. Their own radar system, even a modern ESA variant, would struggle to get a solid return from the J-20's stealthy airframe until it was much closer, perhaps as close as 50 kilometers, and by then, it would be far too late. The PL-15 would already be in its terminal phase, screaming towards its target at hypersonic speed. This critical time and distance gap almost predetermines the outcome of such an encounter. The fourth-generation pilot is put in a reactive, defensive posture from the very beginning, forced to respond to a missile they never saw coming from an enemy they cannot find. Even if they survive the initial volley, they are at a severe tactical disadvantage. The J-20 pilot, having already fired their weapons, can use their superior speed and stealth to reposition for another attack or egress safely. This fundamental imbalance in situational awareness, created by the combination of stealth and long-range weaponry, is why a direct BVR engagement between a J-20 and a legacy fighter is considered by most experts to be a near-certain victory for the fifth-generation platform. While the J-20 holds a clear advantage over fourth-generation jets, the more relevant and complex comparison is against its direct American fifth-generation rivals, the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. The F-22 Raptor is widely considered the pinnacle of air superiority fighters, designed with an uncompromising focus on air-to-air combat. Its combination of extreme stealth, with a reported frontal radar cross-section as low as 0.0001 square meters, supercruise capability, and high maneuverability thanks to thrust vectoring nozzles, sets an incredibly high bar. In a hypothetical one-on-one engagement, many analysts still give the F-22 a slight edge over the J-20, particularly in terms of all-aspect stealth and kinematic performance. The F-35 Lightning II, on the other hand, represents a different design philosophy. It was conceived as a multi-role jack-of-all-trades fighter intended to serve the Air Force, Navy and Marine Corps, as well as numerous allied nations. While it possesses very advanced stealth and arguably the most sophisticated sensor fusion and networking capabilities of any fighter in the world, it is not as fast or as agile as the F-22 or even the J-20. Its primary strength lies in its role as an aerial quarterback, using its powerful sensors and data links to gather and distribute battlefield information to other assets. In a direct comparison, the J-20 likely holds an advantage in raw kinematic performance, such as top speed and operational ceiling. The armament comparison also reveals important differences. The J-20's PL-15 missile, with its impressive range, appears to outclass the current AIM-120D AMRAAM used by both the F-22 and F-35, which has a public range estimate of around 160 kilometers. This gives the J-20 a potential long-range first-shot advantage even against its stealthy peers. However, the United States is actively developing the new AIM-260 Joint Advanced Tactical Missile, or JATM, specifically to counter this threat, aiming to restore parity or superiority in the BVR missile duel. The ultimate outcome of a future engagement will depend heavily on which side can field the more capable long-range weapon system. Ultimately, a one-on-one comparison may be less important than how these aircraft are integrated into a larger combat network. The United States relies on a mature system of supporting assets, including AWACS aircraft, tankers, and robust data links that connect its fighters. China is rapidly developing its own ecosystem, including the KJ-500 AWACS and the two-seat J-20S variant, designed to act as a command and control platform for loyal wingman drones. The future of air superiority will likely be decided not by the individual capabilities of a single fighter, but by the strength, resilience, and intelligence of the entire combat system it operates within, making the rivalry between the J-20, F-22, and F-35 a complex and continuously evolving strategic chess match. American military expert and former United States Marine Corps officer Eric Wiklund recently stirred the pot of international defense analysis with a particularly bold assertion. He claimed that even older fourth-generation fighters, like the F-15 Eagle and F-16 Fighting Falcon, could successfully shoot down China's premier J-20 stealth fighter. This seems to defy the logic of generational advancement in military aviation, which usually suggests fifth-generation aircraft hold an almost insurmountable advantage. However, Wiklund's claim was not absolute. It was predicated on one enormously significant condition: the legacy fighter must approach and lock onto the J-20 from its tail, exploiting a supposed rear aspect vulnerability. The core of Wiklund's argument hinges on trade-offs in stealth aircraft design. While the J-20 has been engineered for minimal radar visibility from the front, its rear section is a different story. He points to the engine exhaust nozzles as a critical weak point. During high-temperature operation, these nozzles radiate a significant heat signature, making them susceptible to heat-seeking missiles, but their complex shape can also reflect more radar waves. Wiklund's theory, a pursuing aircraft in the J-20's 6 o'clock position could bypass its primary frontal stealth defenses and achieve a weapons-grade lock using radar or infrared sensors. This reasoning does possess technical basis. Achieving low observability across all angles, all aspects stealth, is incredibly difficult and expensive. Most designs, including early American stealth aircraft, prioritize reducing the frontal radar cross-section above all else. The rear and side aspects will inevitably have a larger radar signature than the front. The F-22 Raptor is renowned for exceptional all-aspect stealth, but even its rear radar cross-section is larger than its frontal signature. Wiklund's statement cleverly moves the goalposts of the debate. It shifts away from typical beyond visual range scenarios where the J-20's advantages are most pronounced and focuses on a specific, close-range engagement geometry. By introducing the crucial condition, approaching from the rear, he reframes the question from "Can an F-16 beat a J-20?" to "If an F-16 gets behind a J-20, does it stand a chance?" This forces analysis of the J-20's tail assembly design and the feasibility of achieving such a position against an advanced opponent. Delving deeper into Wiklund's claim requires a closer look at the specific design of the J-20's tail section. Stealth aircraft designers employ various techniques to mitigate radar reflections and infrared signatures from the engine exhausts, which are often the most vulnerable parts of the aircraft. These techniques include shaping the nozzles with serrated sawtooth edges to scatter radar waves, using specialized heat-absorbing materials, and mixing cold bypass air with the hot exhaust gases to reduce the thermal signature. The J-20's designers have clearly incorporated some of these features, such as jagged edges on the nozzles and panels, in an effort to reduce its rear aspect signature. Wiklund's argument, however, is that these measures are insufficient, leaving exploitable loopholes at certain angles. A key point of contention has been the J-20's engine nozzles themselves. Early production models of the J-20, powered by Russian AL-31F or a domestic WS-10 variant, featured conventional round nozzles that were not optimized for stealth. These exposed circular nozzles are known to be significant sources of radar reflection. However, more recent batches of the J-20 are being fitted with the new WS-15 engine, which is expected to incorporate serrated nozzles designed for better signature reduction. This ongoing evolution of the J-20 airframe means that Wiklund's assessment might be more applicable to older versions than to the latest, most advanced models rolling off the production line, which are progressively closing this potential vulnerability. The comparison to the American F-22 Raptor is instructive here. The F-22 features highly advanced two-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles that are rectangular in shape. This design is not only crucial for the aircraft's incredible maneuverability, but is also exceptionally effective at shielding the hot turbine faces and reducing both radar and infrared signatures from the rear aspect. The J-20 to date has not incorporated such a sophisticated nozzle design. Wiklund and other critics believe this difference is a key discriminator, suggesting that the J-20's rear stealth profile is inherently compromised compared to its premier American counterpart, potentially making it more detectable to advanced sensors of a modern fourth-generation fighter like an F-15EX. However, even if a vulnerability exists, exploiting it is far from straightforward. The question is not simply whether the rear radar cross-section is larger, but whether it is large enough to be detected and tracked by a fourth-generation fighter's radar at a tactically useful range. The J-20 is not operating in a vacuum. It is equipped with a distributed aperture system that provides 360-degree infrared coverage, giving its pilot spherical situational awareness. This system is specifically designed to detect and warn of approaching aircraft or missiles from any angle, including the rear. Therefore, any fourth-generation fighter attempting to sneak up behind a J-20 would likely be detected long before it could get into a firing position, turning the hunter into the hunted. The most significant flaw in Eric Wiklund's argument lies not in the theoretical physics of radar reflection, but in the practical realities of modern air combat. The claim that a fourth-generation fighter can shoot down a J-20 if it gets behind it has been widely ridiculed by Chinese netizens, with a simple analogy. How do you put an elephant in a refrigerator? Step 1. Open the refrigerator door. The joke's punchline is that it completely ignores the most difficult and improbable part of the task. Similarly, Wiklund's claim conveniently glosses over the near-impossible challenge for a non-stealthy fighter of surviving the beyond visual range environment to get into the J-20's blind spot in the first place. Imagine the scenario: a flight of F-15s is tasked with engaging a flight of J-20s. The J-20s, with their low observable airframes and powerful AESA radars, will detect the F-15s from hundreds of kilometers away. Armed with the PL-15 long-range missile, the J-20 pilots can launch their attack from well beyond the detection range of the F-15's own radar. The F-15 pilots would be forced to go defensive against incoming missiles from an enemy they cannot see or locate. In this electronic battlefield, the fourth-generation fighter is, honestly, effectively blind and outranged. The idea that one of these F-15s could somehow evade multiple long-range missile shots and navigate through a gauntlet of invisible enemies to perfectly position itself behind a J-20 is tactically implausible. Furthermore, the J-20 is not just a stealthy platform, it is also a highly capable kinematic performer, especially with the newer WS-15 engines that enable supercruise. It possesses high speed, a high service ceiling, and excellent agility. Even if, by some miracle, a fourth-generation fighter managed to survive the initial beyond visual range exchange and get close, it would still need to win a dogfight against a faster, more agile, and more situationally aware opponent. The J-20 pilot, alerted to the threat by their 360-degree sensor suite, would have every opportunity to use their superior performance to deny the F-15 a firing solution, either by outturning it, outclimbing it, or simply accelerating away at supersonic speeds without afterburner. Ultimately, Wiklund's statement seems less like a serious tactical analysis and more like a form of psychological warfare, or public opinion shaping. By focusing on a highly specific best-case scenario for the legacy fighter, it creates an illusion of vulnerability that may boost morale or downplay the threat posed by the J-20. However, for pilots and strategists, war planning must be based on the most likely scenarios, not on improbable edge cases. In any realistic combat encounter, the J-20's combination of stealth, advanced sensors, and long-range weapons creates a layered defense that a fourth-generation fighter simply has no credible answer for. The elephant in this case is far more likely to trample the refrigerator than to ever be put inside it. China's military modernization is now defined by the industrial might behind its J-20 stealth fighter. The Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group runs multiple high-speed production lines, reportedly rolling out a new J-20 every few days. This pace means over 100 J-20s are produced annually, rapidly shifting the air power balance in Asia. 14 PLABF aviation brigades now field J-20s, over 330 operational fighters, not counting those in training or reserve. In contrast, the U.S. delivered just 33 new F-35. As to its Air Force in 2023, with future deliveries set to drop even further. China's cost advantage is clear. A J-20 now costs about $110 million, far less than the F-35's $150 million lifecycle price. This efficiency lets China outpace the West, fielding more advanced fighters for less. The West faces not just a technological challenge, but an industrial one. China's relentless production is rewriting the rules of air power. The sky's new reality, quantity, is becoming a quality all its own. The world must now reckon with China's industrial pulse, forging a formidable force at unprecedented speed. The J-20's rapid proliferation is tilting the Asia-Pacific balance of power. China's Northern Theater Command alone fields 72 J-20s, covering the Korean Peninsula, Japan, and key maritime choke points. Across all commands, over 200 J-20s now face the first island chain, outnumbering the combined F-22 and F-35 fleets of the US, Japan, and South Korea in the region. Japan's slow F-35 deliveries highlight a widening capability gap. With the upcoming carrier-based J-35, China's annual fifth-generation output could reach 160 aircraft. By 2029, China may field over 1,000 stealth fighters, challenging US air superiority in the Pacific. The US struggles to keep pace, its forces stretch thin globally, while China concentrates power regionally. Even a full US pivot to Asia might not match China's numbers by 2030. For Washington and its allies, China's relentless production lines present a daunting new reality. China's J-20 isn't just multiplying, it's evolving. The latest J-20s feature advanced AESA radars with gallium nitride and silicon carbide, boosting power and efficiency. These breakthroughs give the J-20 superior situational awareness and the ability to detect stealthy targets at unprecedented ranges. Each new J-20 block widens the technological gap with legacy fighters. Meanwhile, China is already flight testing two sixth-generation prototypes, one from Chengdu, one from Shenyang. The Chengdu design is a long-range, three-engine arsenal. The Shenyang, a highly agile fighter with advanced maneuverability. Features like drone swarm command, directed energy weapons, and hypersonic capabilities are moving from concept to reality. China's dual-track development signals a robust, well-funded R&D pipeline. As the J-20 fleet grows, China is already preparing the next leap in air combat. The future of air superiority is being shaped in Chinese skies today. China's sixth-generation fighter programs are racing ahead, with operational service possible by 2030, years before the US could respond. While China flies prototypes, America's next-generation air dominance program faces delays, budget cuts, and uncertainty. The US Navy's F/AXX is underfunded. The Air Force's NGAD is mired in cost overruns and secrecy. No American sixth-gen prototype has been unveiled, while China's are already in the air. The Pentagon's reliance on the B-21 Raider as a stopgap is controversial, given its vulnerability to advanced Chinese fighters. If China fields sixth-gen jets first, the US could lose its technological edge for the first time in a century. America risks playing catch-up, fielding older F-22s and F-35s against a more advanced, numerous Chinese force. This shift could upend the Pacific's strategic balance, forcing a major rethink in US defense. China's systematic, well-resourced approach stands in stark contrast to America's bureaucratic struggles. The future of air superiority is up for grabs, and China is making its move now. The debate over whether a fourth-gen fighter could down a J-20 reveals deep anxieties about China's rise as an air power. Chinese netizens' confidence reflects a nation no longer in awe of Western tech. In the West, such debates often serve to downplay the J-20's threat and reassure allies, but risk distracting from the real challenge. Serious analysts agree, the J-20's stealth, sensors, and weapons make it a formidable foe for any fourth-gen jet. The real story isn't about hypothetical dogfights, but how the J-20 has forced a global rethink of air combat and doctrine. The West must confront a new reality. The skies are no longer its uncontested domain. The rise of the J-20 is a present-day challenge demanding clear-eyed assessment and robust response. The future of air power will be defined by those who adapt fastest to this new era, beyond rhetoric and into action. The ascent of the J-20 Mighty Dragon, backed by China's formidable industrial might, signifies more than just the arrival of a new fighter jet. It heralds a new era for the future of air superiority. The pinnacle of cutting-edge defense technology is no longer the exclusive patent of the West. China has proven its ability to independently design, develop and mass-produce aircraft that are at the forefront of aerospace engineering. This new reality is reshaping the military balance in the Asia-Pacific, creating a multipolar aerial environment where dominance is no longer guaranteed for any single power. The roar of J-20 engines across the region is the sound of the old order changing, signaling a future where competition will be fiercer and more technologically advanced than ever before. This ongoing technological race is accelerating at a breathtaking pace. While the United States continues to rely on its aging F-22s and the multi-role F-35, China is not only churning out J-20s at an alarming rate, but is already flight testing prototypes for its sixth-generation successors. This relentless forward momentum suggests that China is not content with simply achieving parity. It is aiming for outright superiority. The future of air combat will be defined by systems of systems, networks of manned fighters, loyal wingman drones, advanced sensors, and resilient communication links. The nation that can most effectively integrate these disparate elements into a cohesive and intelligent combat cloud will hold the decisive advantage in the conflicts of tomorrow. The strategic implications are profound and far-reaching. The numerical and technological challenge posed by China's growing fleet of J-20s and soon, J-35s, will force the United States and its allies to make difficult choices. They must invest heavily in their own next-generation programs like NGAD, accelerate the development of countermeasures to stealth technology, and rethink their force posture and deployment strategies in the Pacific. The days of relying on a small number of exquisitely capable but expensive platforms may be numbered, giving way to a new calculus that must balance quality with mass, survivability, and the ability to project power across vast distances in a highly contested environment. In conclusion, the story of the J-20 is a powerful chapter in the larger narrative of 21st century geopolitical competition. It is a testament to China's ambition, and a clear signal that the global balance of power is in flux. As the pulsating production lines at Chengdu continue to forge steel wings, and the prototypes of sixth-generation aircraft draw new contrails above the clouds, one thing is certain: the sky over the Pacific has changed. The future of air superiority will not be decided by past glories or bold claims, but by the relentless pursuit of technological innovation, the strength of industrial capacity, and the strategic vision to master the complex, high-stakes game of aerial warfare.